Hi everybody, this is Dee at Aloha Astro, and today we are looking at a new moon that's occurring in the fixed air sign of Aquarius at 9 degrees 51 minutes of that sign at 7:36 a.m. on January 29th, 2025. I went ahead and combined the forecast for 2 days because yesterday was quite similar to today. We already had that moon approaching and entering Aquarius during the day and drawing closer to the sun and to the planet Mercury as well as Pluto. So let's take a look at the forecast for the energies. I'm going to pull up the screen for both days so you can see the difference between the two. And really there's not a great deal of difference. It's kind of like a momentum of one day into the other as we shifted over to Aquarius yesterday. Moon transiting Capricorn to Aquarius, Tuesday, January 28th, and the new moon in Aquarius, the morning of January 29th, increases your confidence in your potential for becoming a warrior of light and an agent of change and empowerment, as the moon moving from cardinal Earth to fixed air joins Mercury, the Sun, and Pluto in Aquarius to bring a potent new moon spiritual activation. Mercury shifting from conservative Capricorn to rebellious Aquarius can change your perceptions and beliefs as it reveals hidden truths, and the more truth you see, the greater your conviction to act on that truth will become. The lineup of Saturn, Venus, Neptune, and the North Node, all in Pisces, supporting the Aquarius planets, Uranus retrograde in Taurus and Mars retrograde in Cancer, through two minor grand trine aspect patterns, while Chiron in Aries creates a catalyst generating T-square with Mars and Aquarius planets, indicates many people will begin to see the light, admit they were wrong, change their minds, seek forgiveness, or join a higher cause in the days to come. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini square to the Pisces planets, but trine to the Aquarius planets, gives you the option of accepting and including or blaming and excluding. Consider and discuss consequences, restitutions, and boundaries, but make peace and unity rather than further conflict or punishment the end goal. This new moon is a trigger for upheaval and transformation personally and globally, which can be uncomfortable and look messy. In all choices and actions, some of which may be radical, ask yourself if you are making things better or worse, and avoid creating future regrets. So let's take a look at, first we're taking a look at the new moon here, and you can see that we've just got this one square aspect going on between Mars and Chiron, whereas on the previous day, it was still just involved in a T-square, a pesky T-square that's been bothering us for a while now and creating a lot of tension and activating things like fear, as well as the push against anything limiting or controlling. And it points toward Chiron in Aries, where basically nobody's going to come help you, save you. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself, or you're going to have to face your fears or face your challenges and work out how you can best move forward. So that T-square has been stirring up a lot of stuff, both in the world and in people's individual lives. And we still have those two minor grand trines that are overlapping each other to form a pattern that I always think looks like angel wings to me, and usually the shoulders of those wings are where a lot of the energy is being directed. It literally can lift you up above the challenge of the T-square if you direct your attention toward Uranus, the planet of change and the future, and the Pisces planets, where you have to kind of function from a higher level or believe in yourself But outside of the belief, you still have to show up and do the work or persist, because we do have this cluster of Pisces planets in the other minor grand trine with Uranus and Mars. And Mars is a planet of action. Saturn is a very material, grounded, earthy planet. We have the spiritual energy coming in through Neptune, particularly in its ruling sign of Pisces, conjunct the North Node in Pisces. Ideally, find things that you love to do, love what you do, love yourself, believe in yourself. Those are some of the lessons right now. And to extend the same sort of energy toward other people that you would like to have extended toward you. When we look at the new moon, we lose the T-square. We simply have one leg now, one square with Mars and Chiron. So some of the pressure is off. We have a mutable square going on between Venus primarily and Jupiter, has been going on for a couple of weeks. And there have been beneficial planets. Usually when they are square to each other, things can work out or something can happen, but will it be exactly as you want it? Maybe not. Maybe it is as good as you can get right now, or maybe you have to look at the bigger, more long-range picture or delay your gratification, particularly since Jupiter, which would be looking at, well, give me what I want what I want, and almost in a childlike Gemini way. And Venus and Saturn has a little bit of tough love behind it, where there can be the longing or the enduring and the waiting and the patience that comes into play, that perhaps the longer you wait, the sweeter it will be when you get what you want. In matters of love, the one thing I would recommend is if you already have been waiting patiently, but you're lacking confidence, particularly if that T-square was just making you absolutely terrified, to go ahead and take a chance. Now that some of the tension of the T-square has let up, in addition to two other things that are changing in the next few days. Tomorrow we have the planet Uranus coming out of retrograde. So that should also help with initiating new things, which comes at a new moon, and taking the risk or the chance to be looking toward the future rather than, oh, but I didn't do so well in the past when I tried to do this before, or every time I have asked this person out or have tried to pitch my sales idea or whatever, it hasn't worked. I would say try again. Sometimes the more no's you get, the more gainful the yes can be when it finally comes. That's one thing I discovered years ago when I relied heavily on marketing a product where it was a wholesale baking product, and I would go around to coffee shops and delis and bring my product, and the places that said yes right away were usually very quiet and had no real business going on. Maybe they thought, well, adding another product is going to make a difference. And the places that just didn't want to talk to me, and they were usually too busy. They didn't need to add another product. They were so busy with their own customers and they had enough of everything. And I persisted with some of them and finally got a yes. And they turned out to be my anchor, the foundation of my business, were the ones who had said no to me the most. So I would say persist, try again. You do have a nice trine going on in the sky right now between Jupiter and the Aquarius planets, and that can definitely lean things more toward your favor, despite the fact that there is a square to these Pisces planets where, well, if you want to enjoy unrequited love and that bittersweet yearning, go right ahead. But if you really want something or somebody, there's enough in here to make it happen. You just have to try. And we also have another planet coming out of retrograde on February the 4th. We're going to have Jupiter coming out of retrograde. We'll still be in Gemini at 11 degrees, but it will no longer be retrograde. So the planet of growth and abundance and optimism, and the planet of change and the future and taking risks or chances will both be out of retrograde by the time 6 days have passed. So a week from now, there could be something new on the horizon for you if you take a chance and go ahead. And it might involve trying again with something or somebody that maybe you've already heard a no, or maybe you've been very unsure. This whole combination of Pluto, Mercury, and the new moon, the sun and the moon, has a lot of power behind it. And these are favorable aspects. But most often people are more activated by the challenging ones, and they can take the ease and flow for granted, or they don't apply them and they don't look for the opportunities or take the chances. So nothing really changes and nothing happens. On the global level, yep, there's a lot going on in society right now. Ultimately, some things may be for the better because they could be pushing against society, and that will require people, that Aquarius energy, coming together as a group and saying, no, you can't do that, or I'm the one who elects you, and this is not acceptable. This is not the government that I support. There can be a call to further activism, individually or collectively, because of Mars in a square to Chiron. We'll just have to see what happens as time goes by. We have other planets making big shifts this year. March is a month to watch, as is May. Those 2 months have some big shifts associated with them. But for now, be open to changes. Don't be afraid to express yourself, and definitely think about cause and effect when you take any type of an action, because some of those things may have consequences that you have to live with, or at some point in time, the tables may turn. Aries energy is very individual, whereas Cancer represents symbiosis and caring and needs, the fulfillment of needs between people. And I would say don't dish something out if you can't take it, and do not deny somebody something that maybe in the future you yourself might ask for. Consider how you are interacting with other people. There can be some finality to some relationships, but mostly the overall patterns are pointing toward how can we all get along together, rather than how are we going to exclude a group of people or an individual. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbol. Oh, and today is the Chinese New Year, the Year of the Snake, which I know absolutely nothing about, but I am a rat and I looked that up, and supposedly a good year for me. And hopefully, whatever your Chinese zodiac sign is, it will also be a blessed year for you. Let's go to that Sabian symbol. We round up to 10 degrees. A man who had for a time become the embodiment of a popular ideal is made to realize that as a person, he is not this ideal. The need to deal with human beings as persons rather than as screens upon which one projects one's dream and ideal. Here we have a final statement on the relationship between mental, spiritual vision and living reality, between persons and the ideal they appear to incarnate, between the great lover image and one's need for love, a love his presence stimulated and aroused. The star on the movie screen is not the actual person. The star's popularity fades away, the person remains. What has this episode of popularity actually done to the person? This is a question that can be applied to a great variety of circumstances. This fifth symbol in the 60-second sequence brings to our attention an issue that is basic and may confront us in various forms. Person versus archetype. This can mean a critical need for self-reevaluation. What I feel this new moon brings is an awareness of truth and a revealing of things that can change perspective, ideally for the better. But there is some existential, I would say, like, who am I? With that square going on between Chiron and Aries, Mars and Cancer. And it would be, who am I to the other? And if I am not this particular person who I think I am, how am I sustained? So if anybody is going through some personal upheaval and changes, transformation-wise, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, while we have Pluto in that sign of change in the future, Mercury, the mind, and the new moon, sun and moon, indicating new beginning, there can be some questions or insecurity that comes up. Ultimately, though, the finding of the self, I think, has more to do with what does the self contribute and where do you want to be of service. I think sometimes we look at service as being an obligatory type of a thing and we shy away from it. But Aquarius energy governs the 11th house of friends, groups, organizations, the stage, the gallery, the audience, the internet, as well as things like wish fulfillment and the organizations that help that come into being. In terms of larger organizations, it very often are things like the programs within the government that take care of people, whether it's your mail being delivered or whether it's you're on food stamps, or it's interesting that at this new moon, there's federal funding that's being frozen for various programs, education, and what was I reading? The programs that are slated for help in things like heating assistance. That's all very 11th house. And it also rules, though, the greater judicial system. And there already is such a thing in place. So we don't know yet which way things are going to move in terms of politics. But if you have anything to say, do reach out to your representatives and do voice your opinions on things. It is definitely a time for being involved and becoming active. If you are becoming aware and feeling that this is frightening or threatening or not right in any way, and you have opinions or want to say something, then do get active and participate. All right. Can't think of anything else other than the usual, take care, stay safe. We do have a little bit of both impulse going on as well as sometimes a little bit of abstract attention being caught by other things, which I think is good because a lot of energy is in motion. But when you're out driving around, do pay attention to your surroundings. Do not be on your cell phone. Do not be texting, because there is a lot of energy in motion and there is a lot of distraction and thinking going on. A lot of moving thoughts very quickly. So be alert and be aware and take care. And I'll see you at the next video when we have a full moon coming up.